s'il vous plaît.
Bonjour, mon nom est André Cornelier.
André Cornelier. I'm the director of copyright for the Association des photographes canadiens, the CAPIC. I represent Canadian photographers. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Moore, for this opportunity I've been given today. And also thanks for the attention that the government is paying to photographers. I know that you intend to present an act that would allow Canadian photographers to receive copyright. Canadian photographers are the only photographers in the world who do not have a copyright. Throughout the world, photographers have these rights, and in Canada, it's the person who orders it, who orders the photo, who has the rights. And I'd like to deal with two myths that we'd heard about today, that you're often going to hear at consultations on the internet. The first, there was a gentleman saying before that when you buy a physical object, you can do what you want with it, but when you buy a CD, you don't have the right to copy it, to do what you want with it. This is a myth that is totally false. When you buy a car or a fridge or a pen, a light, a lamp, any object, yes, you can do what you want with it. You can paint it, you can break it, throw it out, resell it. What you can't do with it is copy it. If you buy a Ford car and you copy it, let me tell you, Mr. Ford is going to come and see you. And if you copy a refrigerator, there's a patent there. Anything that you buy, you cannot copy. You have the right to use it, but you can't copy it. That's all we're asking for, is the same rights. A second myth that we heard previously. Many young people today who were brought up on internet say that we have the right to anything we can find on internet. We should be able to use these things. Last year, the Association of Canadian Creators held a conference in Toronto and invited Canadian creators to express themselves, as well as those who are against copyright and intellectual property rights. So we heard both sides, same as we are hearing them today. A young person started to say that he wouldn't like there to be copyright because he was creating from the internet. He took photos, images, film clips, and created a new work. And for him, if he wasn't allowed to do this, he couldn't work anymore. So he was asking for free access without paying any royalties or copyright. A simple question was asked of him. So you've made this work out of what you've done, and now a video game company, takes your work and reproduces it on a video game to sell it to 100 million copies. And he stopped about it for 2 seconds, and he said, "What will you do?" And he said, "Well, I'll sue them." But you can't sue them. There's no longer any kind of copyright or rights generally in your scheme. And I think if the government tried to go in this direction, the young people who asked for this in 10, 20 years, they would be the ones who would most reproach you for going down that path. Microphone 4, then Nicole. There will be one person per mic who can come in rebuttal or response to the comments that have already been made. So microphone 4. I'd like to thank the minister for this town hall, for consulting. My name is Anthony Aymon. I'm at the Union des Consommateurs, a not-for-profit organization. I'm a lawyer, and we represent a number of different people. The Union des Consommateurs tries to protect consumer rights, considering low-income families, and we try to deal with their values such as solidarity, equity, social justice, improving living conditions socially and environmentally. A few comments concerning possible bill protected by these new legislation. Some people, these new devices have to do with more than there are certain devices that will actually keep people from even reading CDs on their CD players. We have to look towards interoperability, that people not be blocked that makes by things that keep people from being able to use certain devices. And there's also danger concerning private life, such as the ULKIT by Sony. We also have to look at international agreements, Article 8 of WIPO, which says that authors have exclusive rights to authorize all communication to the public, wire-free or wireless, of their work in such a way that each person have access from the place they choose individually. It's quite possible to have an innovative approach in the field, and if we look at Spain, Spain is quite different from other European countries. A European judge said, a Spanish judge said lately concerning downloading, condemning them would be penalizing a socially acceptable practice where the aim is not to illegally enrich yourself, but to get private copies. So private copies, the Article 8, could be reformed and extended. Also, digitally, it's very difficult. This goes against the whole copyright principle. I'm thinking of the Tibet Supreme Court decision concerning copyright. All of this could restrict the ability of the public domain to embellish creative works in order to help society, and it could create practical obstacles to legitimate uses. Others will say that we should modify copyright laws so that we meet international agreements, including WIPO agreements. This is true up to a certain point, but we can't forget certain provisions, including Article 7, protection and respect of intellectual property rights should promote and innovate society and should help to spread technology to the mutual advantage of those who generate and use technological devices. And it should help to ensure a balance between rights and obligations. Thank you. Nicole?
I'm a musician, businessman, and active member of society. I pay my bills and taxes. Why do we allow a culture of piracy to thrive in Canada? Canada needs a solution that will protect intellectual property.
Merci. Maintenant
Thank you. Microphone 1.
My name is Ayub Muntasar, and I represent I'm the VP External of the Concordia Student Union. We're about 30,000 students. And they say people's attention span's about 20 minutes, and that must have been an hour and a half ago, so I'm going to keep this sweet and simple. First off, I have 3 points to get across. My first point to get across would be open-ended definition of fair dealing. I find that the system right now in place doesn't accurately reflect what many of us might want. Secondly, update education provisions to facilitate digitalization and long-distance learning. We have a lot of students at Concordia who take online courses, and the copyright legislation right now hinders the way that the courses are taught. Thirdly, and most importantly, is I think there should be some sort of exceptions to academic institutions. I do recognize that plagiarizing movies and songs and whatnot and paintings are illegal, and people need a source of revenue. But when it comes to research and whatnot, it does hinder all students. And I do encourage you to consult students directly. I heard in the beginning you mentioned that you were having private consultations with certain people, and I would encourage you to consult with students. I could organize that for you here in Montreal if you'd be willing. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, Minister.
Students have been a part of every one of our roundtables last night in Gatineau. We had the Canadian Alliance of Students Associations in Vancouver. We had the Canadian Federation of Students. We've had individual students here today. So certainly it's important not only for to represent the needs of students and the dynamics of new online learning, but also because of the generational consideration that the copyright needs to take.
Thank you. Mic 2, please.